right, good day everybody, and welcome to the Mission Better podcast, where our mission is leave you better than we found you. We're talking with industry experts and people making a difference in other people's lives, making every day better, one person at a time. Okay, so this is my first episode, and I could think of no better way to start this than to have in somebody that changed my life and is changing the lives of thousands of people. A gentleman named Mr. Graeme Knight, the owner and operator and vice president and whatever other hats you're wearing with the company Consumer Direct Windows, a very successful window company here in Toronto. In fact, I believe the top installation company in Ontario. We'll dive a little bit more into that. Great to have you here. Could you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what brings you to the table?
Yeah, thanks, Kristian. Thanks for having me. I've got 30 years of window and door experience. I started manufacturing windows and doors many years ago, and then transitioned into the B2C space, delivering and installing windows and doors to consumers.
Right. So you were manufacturing windows before. Any notable mentions? Who were you manufacturing windows for? I didn't even know that until we did this interview. Where were you manufacturing windows?
Yeah, so I started manufacturing doors with the Stanley Works.
Okay.
Back when the days that Stanley was pre-hanging all of their door systems. And after there joined Ostico for a while. Making windows and doors, and then from there I went to the retail side of things, and selling and installing windows and doors.
Right. So you weren't always an owner within the space of windows and doors. You kind of worked your way through the whole thing. How did you end up becoming an owner within the space? What led to that?
So I think I always kind of had this entrepreneurial nature. I just didn't really know it early on. Love business, the drive for business, and this understanding that whatever role I was holding, there was more to business than just that one role. But I built up and ran several of the largest in Toronto, the largest window and door companies in Toronto, which subsequently those companies were sold off, and the companies that took them over just didn't share the same values that I did, and that's really what got me into owning and starting up my own business, was this need to kind of fill this space. I noticed that these companies didn't take great care of customers. They're more worried about the financials than who they satisfied. So that's Consumer Direct was born, filling that hole, filling that niche.
Now, in a very short period of time, you've kind of catapulted to the top of the industry once again. So you worked for the largest companies, and then you decided to start on your own. I mean, this was in the heart of the COVID years while this was going on, and while other companies were using that as the excuse as to why they were failing their customers, you used it as a building block for your company, which I thought was really cool and interesting about your success. So you started, what year was the company founded?
So, the company, Consumer Direct, actually began in 2021.
Okay.
And so, just after the COVID outbreak, but I think, it allowed us to scale differently than pre-COVID, right? Like just everybody had different ideals. So, we do have a hybrid work environment. I've, got somebody that works for me all the way out in Newfoundland currently, but it's definitely allowed us to move forward quicker and in a different manner than you would have expected pre-COVID, for sure.
That's awesome. Now, in that period of time, how many installations would you say that your company has done?
So, since we began, we're well over the 5,000 mark for
so
sure.
You're talking like 1,000 installs a year? That's wild.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, you're not even into the full of year 5 yet. You're, 4.5 years into this thing? If it started in 21, you're, just over 4 years, right?
Yeah, 4.5 years, and we're doing more than 1,000 installations in a year for sure.
Jeez, that's a lot of windows. So what would you say was is there a key contributing factor to the success of your business in such a short period of time? Like, how have you managed to be so successful in a business that's so saturated and there's so many companies in that space? There's no barrier to entry. Like there's a lot of bad companies, some decent companies out there still that you're competing against, obviously. What do you think the biggest factor in your success has been?
So I mean, I think for sure knowledge, right? I've been in the space for 30 years now, but 20 some years before I started this. So I've got certainly a strong background knowledge on how things should be structured, but it's really kind of picking that niche, that item to differentiate yourself from others. And like I said earlier, I really noticed there was a hole in the market for companies that were truly customer focused. And it's not easy to do that day in and day out, but I believed and still believe that is really the key to growth and to moving forward, is just taking care of the customers, doing things correctly the first time, and then obviously you're going to get those customers coming back or referring you to other customers that need our services. So we're definitely reaping those rewards now, taking care of more and more customers every single year.
Oh, that's amazing. And so obviously you can't do everything on your own. You've had a team of people helping you along the way. How important was it to, how important are the people to the business, and how do you go about picking good people?
So yeah, I mean, I think the people. I mean, every business is companies made up of people. Is probably one of the biggest factors, right? Is having the right people. I've got definitely my partners have a long tenure in this field as well. In the window and door space, and with our knowledge, combined. Developing this company, we're able to kind of move a little quicker, but we definitely focused on some core values that drive the company, that drive me, and ultimately that's one of the key things we're looking for, is those core values in people. That they have them, that they carry them. And then the attitude, right? You can teach people systems, you can teach them about products, but you can't necessarily teach them how to care about customers, and how to want to learn. So those, I think, were some really key things that when we're hiring, when we were growing, and we still continue to grow, but that has really helped me get a leg up quickly.
So, if I'm hearing you correctly, it's making sure that you're hiring customer-focused people while you're doing it, and then providing the proper training to make sure. But obviously, they have to want to be part of something like this and want to help people in order for them to be a good fit. Is that what I'm hearing correctly? Yeah?
Yeah, you got it. I mean, the whole thing, the whole company was really designed around the idea of customer first. So everything we put in place, the sales reps that we hired, the installers that we hired, the office staff that we hired, the systems that we built, everything was designed with the customer as the focus, and how do we support that?
Right. Now, I do know that you're a big systems guy. You obviously have experience in the industry, and you've been doing this for a long time, but let's say for somebody a little less experienced than you that's looking to cut their chops in a business like this, maybe not necessarily windows and doors, but in the home improvement space, or some sort of a customer focused, I guess, where you would be a product and a service business. What would What would you recommend to people that are starting out from a place maybe not with as much experience or as many connections so that they can hit the ground running and have such an extreme success story? Because obviously there was some building blocks along the way that even without those key factors that you had that other people might not, that were key contributors to your success. Is there any advice you could give the guys starting their home improvement business on how to do it efficiently, how to avoid some of the hurdles that they're going to run into, and some of maybe the unavoidable hurdles that they will run into so that they're set for their journey forward?
So, yeah, I mean, I think, every business really, to be successful, you have to have strong systems in the background, right? Strong processes, strong systems in order to scale up. Otherwise, you just hit a ceiling. There's only so much that one person can do. And if you don't have the systems in place, then you can't ensure that the team is doing things to the same level, or that it becomes repeatable, right? So, I mean, it's one thing about doing the job correctly, but to do it correctly every single time, you have to have a repeatable system that people follow. And so, a lot of those, I think, are the key things in growing a business is getting out of that that operator mindset and moving to the owner mindset, working more on the business than in the business, is having those systems in place so that people can follow them, and being able to communicate those systems as well, right? You need a mechanism for doing that, whether it's software, it could be written in a notebook, but as long as you have a way to transfer that knowledge and everybody can follow the same knowledge, now you've got something that becomes repeatable, and you can fix and fine tune and expand on that as required.
And what would you say the biggest hurdle that you've ran into? Like, you're in an oversaturated space, a ton of competition. Say, like, what was the biggest hurdle that you ran into while building this company?
Well, I mean, it'd be pretty hard to pick one thing. I mean, just growing a business from scratch is incredibly hard, right? Like, harder than actually I originally thought. I had run other businesses and grew other businesses, but they were already existing. They already had a customer base. And we just expanded on that. So to start it from nothing, is difficult. And so, to be able to do this, and it's just this constant adjustment between time and and energy priorities, right? What do you have to put in place now, so that everybody can move quicker, so the business can move quicker, and you can continue to scale and grow.
Mm-hmm. So your business is windows and doors. You're doing installation and sales and service after the sales. You guys are the top company in Ontario as far as installations goes, according to WindowWise. Can you let us know what WindowWise is and the importance of the installation process, and why WindowWise is so important, and anything else, like maybe the top 3 things that people should look for when they're hiring a window company? So let's say that they can't get us for whatever reason, maybe they're not in Toronto or whatever, but for the people listening, what advice would you give them as far as when you're looking for a contractor to provide the service, and red flags to look for, etc.?
So, I mean, sure, I think some of the top things, you mentioned WindowWise. So that was a critical factor for us, right? So WindowWise is a governing body, here in Canada, that controls and recommends how to do an installation. So we became WindowWise certified, which means that the product that we're installing is certified, and it meets, the Canadian standards and minimum requirements, so that we know that we've got a good product. And then we needed to train all of our crews on WindowWise, so that we know that the product is being installed properly, right? You have the best product in the world, but if it's not installed well, you're going to have problems, you're going to have issues, it's not going to perform the way it was intended to. The list goes on and on. And then the final piece is the company needs to be WindowWise certified. And that just ensures that it's a real company. There's a set of standards and values that we need to follow. I think the big thing with the whole WindowWise program is it really helps build some accountability into what we're doing, right? So there's guidelines that we need to follow on the way that we do the installations. They do random inspections to make sure that we're following those guidelines. And so real critical pieces to ensure that the homeowner is getting what they paid for at the end of the day. And if there's ever a doubt, they can always reach out to WindowWise as an unbiased third party to ensure that we did what we were supposed to do and what we claimed to do.
All right. Now, what are the big things that people should look out for when shopping windows?
So I think you want to make sure you're working with a reputable company first and foremost. So WindowWise is certainly a helpful tool in that piece, right? Ensuring that the company is reputable. For sure, reviews. I would encourage everybody to do your research, look at reviews, and not just the most recent reviews or the good reviews, but look at the bad ones too. Understand what problems have been going on, how those reviews were responded to, and how frequent, how many, when was the last negative review, right? Is this an ongoing issue? Or something new, right? You got to get a feel for who's actually going to be doing that installation for you. And then I think the final piece is really make sure you're partnering with somebody that's not just selling you something, right? That they're there to actually help you. And I'm maybe saying that a little bit biasly because that's what we do. It's honestly the way we built the company is, all of our guys are trained to go out and first and foremost educate. Educate the consumer about the windows, about their choices, about programs that are available in the marketplace right now that they could be taking advantage of that could save them thousands.
Right. So I would assume that these programs that you're talking about would be a big part of the success. I know that the Canada Greener Homes program is something that I utilize every day and have had 7 family members actually utilize, and by doing it they were able to do windows they couldn't afford to do and weren't interested in doing in the first place. Can you shed a little bit of light on the program itself and what's available to people right now? Because ultimately we could be getting people free windows as a result of this podcast. So I would really like to leave people better by showing them how we can do it. Because I'm walking into houses every day for a patio door and walking out with the whole house once I show people how these programs work and what's available to them. So if you wouldn't mind just going a little bit deeper, because you pretty much taught me everything that I know about the program and helping people utilize it.
Yeah, so the program, as far as I'm concerned, is really the best program on the market today and probably the best program ever. And so the way it works is the government is giving up to $40,000 interest-free over 10 years in an unsecured loan, meaning it's not registered against your home.
Right.
And so the fact that this thing is interest-free is really the huge benefit of this, right? So you can take advantage of this program, obviously for windows and doors, but there's other items as well, attic insulation and wall insulation and, heat pumps and all kinds of stuff that are eligible for this program. But for us specifically on windows and doors, it's really a great tool, up to $40,000, like I said, interest free. So, the average renovation, doing your whole house, I don't know, could be $20,000. If you were to take out a line of credit and cover that expense, it would cost you at a regular, 7 or 8% interest, it's going to cost you more than $9,100 in interest over the 10 years. So just simply by using this program, you're going to save that $9,100. If you had the money, keep it, invest it, work on another project. But if you had the money and you invested it at 5% interest, it's over $12,000 in interest savings, right? So it's huge compared to that total amount. So investing 20 grand, essentially you're going to save $12,000. If you reinvested that money, you're going to get $12,000 at the end. So the investment in windows really only cost you 8 grand. But you also get the added benefit of doing all of the windows in your house, which now is going to give you an energy savings. Natural Resources Canada states that savings is around 25% on average. And with the installations that we've done, we've got a number of clients that are reporting $50 to even $100 a month in energy savings. So, that's another $6,000 to $12,000 in savings over 10 years, not including inflation, right? So energy prices continue to go up every year. 10 years from now, I guarantee you that it's going to cost you more for energy than you're paying today. So, the savings are actually greater than what we're stating, but as a conservative number, you can take advantage of this program and get your windows installed, almost for free.
Right. So just to kind of reiterate what you're saying here, with the program itself, the way that it is structured, you can get the windows up to $40,000 interest free. It does cover doors. It covers things like attic insulation, furnace, water heater, heat pump, all of the energy efficient upgrades. Those are available from the federal government, interest-free over 10 years. I can sell my house in 2 years, pay it off then if I want to. But by doing it, I'm going to save money every single month. So for perspective, quick little background, I've done 7 family members with this program. Every one of them has saved somewhere between that $60 and $115 was my highest one. Their bill was $38K, including attic insulation and everything. So instead of them having to come up with $40,000 out of their pocket, we structured it in a way they got it from the government of Canada, interest-free. Their payment was just over $300 a month total. We're saving them $115 from what they were already spending every single month as a result of not doing their windows, because in the summer months it was too hot and they have an 8-foot patio door west-facing in the back of their house. They could barely sit in front of their table to eat. Right now they can easily sit there with the triple glass and all the difference that it makes. So it doesn't only save you money, it makes your house more comfortable to live in. It increases the life of your furnace, your AC unit. So all of these are the benefits that you get, and most people don't realize that your bills change place from the winter months to the summer months. It's just when the heat bill goes up, people notice it more because you can feel that cold air when you're sitting behind that window that's leaking. You don't feel that hot sun so much when you're sitting in front of an AC vent, right? So those are the big pieces that people, I think, are missing as far as why they should do their windows quicker. So that leads me to my next question. I'm always suggesting to people personally, like if we're going to, my dad always said, if you're going to do something, it's worth doing right. And if it's not done right, it's not done. So when I go into every house, as much as I'm not trying to take more money from people, I'm always suggesting doing more at once, especially with these programs, because ultimately we can structure it in a way that 2 items or that 3 items that you wanted will actually cover the cost of everything for an extended period of time. And you can take those savings and your own savings and put them towards something like you were talking about. So I just really wanted to put a stake in this thing and go like, this is real. you can do your own research, but it's best to talk to somebody that actually understands the program like Consumer Direct does, because you took the time to learn it with the audit company that helped the government roll it out.
Yeah.
So you've been able to help more people utilize this program. Do you have an idea of how many people you've been able to help use the government program, and like how much rebate money or savings were involved in what you've done?
So, I mean, it's hard to put our finger on an exact number, but we've certainly helped thousands of people save hundreds of thousands of dollars just in the Greener Homes loan alone.
Just an interest.
Yeah, I mean, and if you take the other rebate programs that were available prior to this, like, we're certainly in the millions somewhere. Like, it's huge savings, and what I find a lot of people kind of just get bogged down with two things, right? So one is, oh my God, it's numbers and I gotta try and figure this out. Mm-hmm. And so, to help with this, I mean, we've got a spreadsheet that we developed that, you can enter in your energy costs and your project amount and different savings amount, and calculate truly what your cost is and what you've been saving. And the other thing that we've put in place is we've got a video that will actually walk you through the Greener Homes loan process, the application process, and show you what you need to do and how to apply. It's really not that hard. It's not any more difficult than, applying for a line of credit or something like that with a bank. You just got to do it through the Greener Homes portal itself. But we've got both of those tools available for people to help them understand that. We use them internally, but what I'd love to do is share these out with some of your listeners, if you're okay, Kristian. We can do that. So what I'd ask then is if you follow me on Instagram at consumerwd and DM us Windows Mission. We'll send you the link to the spreadsheet and the video, and you can see for yourself, plug in your own numbers, and understand what your savings could be, and also how easy the process really is.
Right, and if you're within a few hours of Toronto, I would assume that you could always just sign up for a free quote by going directly to consumerdirectwindows.ca at the same time, right?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Okay. We'd be happy to give anybody a free estimate. Consumerdirectwindows.ca, like you said, or phone numbers on the website, but you can always call us as well.
Right, now, I know you're a big technology guy, and systems guy. We were very adamant about how important systems were for you. How have you been able to utilize some of this new technology coming out to stay an industry leader? Like, we've got ChatGPT, we got all these new technologies coming out. Are any of them helping you improve how you do business and giving you an edge, I guess, against the people you're competing against?
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that or think that everybody out there is at some level starting to embrace AI and some of this new technology. We're certainly already using it to automate, especially some of the repetitive tasks and things that, whether they're staff members or the different people do. We're using those tools internally. I think as it develops and, there'll be more and more that businesses definitely need to take on or understand, or you're going to get left behind.
All right. So growing a company as quickly and as large as you've grown it, it's got to take a lot of time and energy. How do you, Graeme, the man, not the boss, how do you balance that time? Like, how do you fit anything else in?
So, I mean, I think there's some sort of illusion out there of work-life balance. I honestly think that it kind of goes in seasons, and it's never truly in balance, right? There's either work's getting more attention than it should, according to, family and the rest of the life, or vice versa, right? They get more and work's kind of crying for attention. So I Me personally, I think it's definitely always in a state of flux. And, we've figured out times and, ways where, I'm working more and times when I'm working less or not working at all, right? So
Right.
definitely I've adapted strategies of my phone goes off at a certain hour and like that's it. And, unless the building's burning down, I'm not taking the phone call because I'm with my family or I'm doing something, with my kids or whatever that might be. And then on the work front, like when I'm working, I'm working, right? So that business comes first. And, you know, some people maybe have this view that, oh, like as a business owner, you've got all this free time or, I don't know anybody that's been super successful that is actually had that, at least not in the beginning, right? So maybe as you continue to grow and put pieces in place, you're able to delegate, including running of your company, to somebody else if you wanted to. But I'm definitely not at that stage. In fact, I enjoy working. Every day I enjoy what I'm doing, and so I would have to say, as corny as it sounds, I go to work every day, but it doesn't really seem like work, right?
I bet you some days do though.
Well, look, at every day is not rainbows and lollipops, right? There's always stuff going on. Sometimes there's tough decisions to make, and sometimes it's going smoother than others. As in the beginning is definitely a lot more difficult as you're scaling, right? It's always that ratcheting up as you're, doing too much, and then you hire somebody and you're going out of your mind because you're trying to train and do the same stuff, and then and then that starts to lighten, but now you've grown more and you've taken something else on, and it always seems to be that balance, that fight back and forth. But again, I think if you're doing something that you love, it certainly comes easier anyways. We've put those hard boundaries on where like, that's it, I got to stop at such and such a time because, I got to take my daughter to drums, or I got to, whatever it is, we're doing something, and you got to take the time for that. The downtime, I take a vacation, I try to take a vacation, right? And I can say that I've had the luxury, as we built this company, that I've definitely got the people in place that can handle everything while I'm away, probably more than I let them anyways. So they probably enjoy it more when I'm not there than when I am. But it's to me, it's always just a balancing act.
Right. So you said a couple things in there that made me think of like 6 different questions that I wanted to ask you. But one of the more specific questions I wanted to ask you is more specifically on the people that you were just talking about and the training and having those people being able to take on those tasks. Because I know in the first few years you were wearing way more hats than you are now, and you've been adding those key pieces and key people along as you've grown this place. How do you pick good people, and how important is training those people? I think it's probably the most important, but how do you decide when it's time to let those people go, or whether they just need more training? Because not every person can fit within an organization like this. What are the key indicators that you're looking for people that are going to be a great fit for your company to serve your clients, but also I'm sure there's been some pretty people that you liked a lot that you've had to let go along the way as well. Like, what are you looking for, and how do you navigate that messy landscape?
So I think when it comes to hiring, for us, there's lots of books and information out there on this, but what I've found really kind of works the best, for me anyways, is that kind of hiring structure around our values, right? So we've got core list of values.
Can I interrupt you and
Yeah.
just tell me what those values are that you're hiring around? That would be, I think, the most beneficial piece that we could probably give to everybody here, because success leaves clues, and success is just successful actions repeated multiple times, right? That's what one of my mentors always says. It's like the easiest way to be successful is find something that works and then repeat it over and over and over again. What are those core values that you're looking for?
So, like I think the core value is going to differ for every business and every person. But for us, it's definitely first and foremost around, that kind of idea of, integrity and customer first, right? So integrity around everything that we do, that level of transparency. Even our contracts are transparent, probably more transparent than most people, most companies in the industry today. And that was on purpose, right? Because it fits with our values. So we've
Right.
got that integrity, that transparency, show up. Like, our installers are going to show up. Like, they're going to show up every single time, even if for some reason they can't do the installation. We're showing up, right? So, we've kind of had this notion that you can't cancel an installation from your bed,
Right.
right? So you can't cancel it from your bed. You got to go. And if the weather's bad, right, it's pouring rain outside, terrible, but you're going to go to the job site. And, if it's impossible for you to do any work, then fine. Or if the customer doesn't want you, then fine. But you're showing up and you're going, right? So ideals like that, and trying to get the feel from people about their level of customer focus, right?
Right.
And their commitment to work, right? So all of our people show up every day. They show up, whether it's an installer, the sales rep, office staff. We show up, and we treat our customers with respect, and the whole idea of customer first, right? So we've taken those values, and they're really just stuff that I've always believed, and we just kind of put it on paper and started to build a company around it. And so when we're hiring, I'm definitely looking for those things and trying to get examples and fish that out of people with conversations to make sure that it's truly something that they believe in without even knowing that's one of our values, right? So, and then, the last piece is really the attitude, right? So if somebody's got the attitude to learn, you can train them almost anything.
Right.
So, that's it. If they carry the values personally and they have the willing to learn, we can teach them about Windows, we can teach them about doors, we can teach them the computer systems. All of that stuff can be taught, but those values are really at someone's nature, the core of who you are, and it becomes very evident. We've had it where somebody said it, but it wasn't actually what they believed. And it becomes very evident in the organization that those values aren't aligned.
Right.
And it starts to create a lot of friction, actually. And, sometimes there's no other choice but to realign that individual. And maybe, unfortunately, they have to look elsewhere for employment.
Right.
Yeah, just to say, when it comes to some of that stuff, I mean, you asked a two-part question. So
I always do.
the second half of that is, those people, like, how do I have that conversation with somebody that's maybe not accomplishing what we want? I mean, honestly, I learned a long time ago that, first step, I'm just going to blame myself, right? So there's a good chance that maybe I didn't tell them something, or what I told them wasn't clear, or it's not written down, right? So I'll literally go through that process. Like, okay, I told them to do A and they did, Z. Why did they do that? Okay, well, was the answer I was looking for, was it written down? No. If not, that's on me. That's not on them.
Right.
Right? I told them to do something. They did it the way they thought they should do it. So, step number one, I'm looking to see, is the answer actually written down? Actually, you know what? I've got a really good story about this. I hope I will try not to take too long, but
Sure.
I mean, this just exemplifies this, I think, to a T. So years ago, when I was in manufacturing, we had these big steel forming machines, and so we put this new employee. So mistake number one. Put a new employee running this machine and the most expensive brass plated material through the machine, right? So you shouldn't have put the new guy on that to begin with, but we did. And I remember they got this guy up and running, and I saw him running the machine. I come out and I said to the guy, I said, okay, just look, you got to be careful. This material, very expensive, and it scratches really easily. The guy says, okay, yeah, I got it. All right. So I watch him run for a few minutes. Everything looks good. I finish my plant tour, checking in, and about a half hour later, I come back, and I can see from the other side of the plant, big scratches down this material. And I run over, I stop the machine, and I see the guy, like, I told you to watch for scratches. And he turns to me and he says, yes, sir, lots of scratches. And it became very evident to me, that's not his fault, it's mine. I didn't tell him what to do when he saw the scratch.
Yeah.
Right? And so, very quickly I learned, it's my fault. And so I'll typically go through that process, right? Like, did I tell them what to do, or did I just tell them to do it, right? I just told this guy to run the machine and watch. It's exactly what he did. He saw lots of scratches. I didn't tell him to stop it. I didn't tell him to alert somebody. And so I think when you break it down, like in working with people, if you're not crystal clear on what the steps are and what the expectations are, then you're going to get whatever result you get, right? It's somebody's interpretation of it.
Absolutely.
And definitely that's been a key to scaling, right? Is, documenting the processes, training accordingly, and making sure that everybody understands what the good expectation is, what the bad expectation is, and managing that accordingly.
Right. So I was like my wife is a new manager in a new role, and she's working with one of the biggest providers of service for people that are in need of in-home care, personal service workers, that sort of stuff. And like some of the things that I hear her talking about when it comes to the people, I always just remind her, people are people, and most people have a million things on their mind going on a million times. And if there's no set standards in place, if there's no actual practices to follow, if there's nothing to adhere to, people adhere to their lowest level of training. And most people just either don't know or so consumed by other things that they're not even focusing on the solution if there's no solution presented to them. So you really kind of hit on a lot of the stuff that I was talking to her about, because ultimately, at the end of the day, people are only as prepared as you prepare them for. And when the success of that role is dependent on them being successful in that role, I guess the best thing you can do is make sure that they're trained properly and fire fast if you know that they're not a fit for it, or look for a better place within the organization to fit that person where they can serve the people and the business better. Because just because people aren't doing their job well doesn't mean they're not good for your company or a good fit for your organization. So I just wanted to add that little caveat for anybody listening that might add value to your business, because not every person is bad at their job. They might just be bad at that part of their job.
Yeah, sometimes they're just in the wrong seat, right?
Or maybe you're a bad leader or a bad trainer, or like there's a lot of times like just those missing pieces. So I really wanted to kind of dive a little bit deeper into the business side of things, because full disclosure, I've been working with you for the last 4.5 years, helping you build this thing, and plan on being a large part of helping you scale this further into the future, which is part of why I'm setting this whole thing up and bringing you in as the first guest, is making sure people know who we are and what we bring to the table, why you've been successful, that it's not an accident, and it's built around making sure that they're taken care of and ensuring that 20 years from now they still have a product that's going to last if they're living in that same house. But if not, using the programs and utilizing the systems in place that most people don't even know exist to help them do it cheaper, more affordably, and have a better end result. Because as somebody who builds custom homes and helped people make millions in real estate, if I can transform your whole front of your house and it doesn't cost you anything out of pocket, you just made money off that transaction with that same program. So not only are you getting free windows after that 10 years, you're getting the increased value of your house and the ability to borrow against that house, utilize it for second mortgages, sell it at a higher profit margin. Mm-hmm. You get all that money up front as a result of doing this. Would you agree that redoing the windows and doors on a house would dramatically increase the value of that home immediately?
Yeah, absolutely, right? I mean, studies show that just changing your windows and doors increases the resale value of your home, and your return on investment is something like 80%, right? High 70s to 80%, depending on the area that you live in. So,
Right.
it makes a major difference to your home. I mean, every client that we speak to after they got their new windows and doors installed, like one of the first things they say is, "Oh my God, I can't believe how big of a difference this made." Right?
That's crazy.
Like it's a common statement throughout. So, but yeah, huge difference, and that return on your investment is definitely there, making it a worthwhile investment for sure.
For sure. So, give me the red flags. If I'm a person out there looking for windows and I don't know the first thing about windows, where do I start? And what are the red flags I should be looking for? Like, how do I eliminate companies to work with?
So, I mean, I definitely think looking at reviews is a way to begin, right? So, understand reviews, the positive and the negative reviews. I think people should also, I mean, even the government, Natural Resources Canada, recommends using WindowWise certified dealer, such as Consumer Direct, selfless plug there. But so, because of the credibility that it's going to bring to the installation, right? So that assurance level that it's
Just to add a point, if you're curious, ask ChatGPT why you should choose a WindowWise certified installer and see the answer that it spits out to you, and that will give you a list of what you're looking for in a window company. So maybe you're in an area that doesn't have any WindowWise certified install companies. For instance, some of the smaller towns might not even have that. If you know what the parameters for a proper installation is, it would help you navigate what that looks like for the customer, correct?
Yeah, I mean, certainly understanding the parameters is going to help you make that decision if you don't happen to have any WindowWise certified dealers. I think the other piece that you should look at with companies is really, that knowledge piece, right? So are they there to educate you? Are they helping you understand the product, what they're providing? Or are they just selling you? Are they just writing some stuff down on a piece of paper, hopefully, writing it down, and just giving you a price, without you fully understanding what you're getting? And I think that's maybe really the key that I'm shooting at, right? Understand what you're buying.
Right.
It's important to know that, because every window is not built the same.
Right.
And so, if you paid the price of a Ferrari for a cheap window, you could be really disappointed, right? That's
Right.
really the idea.
Yeah, I always mention to people, like, the product makes all the difference in the world, but you could have the best product in the world. If it's not installed properly, you might as well have just bought the bad one, because it's not going to do the job that it was supposed to, and you just paid way more for it. And I know that the Stage product actually has lower cost points than some of the competitors in the same bracket as far as quality, ratings, all of those, but they get higher ratings at a lower cost point. What is the biggest reason that you chose the Stage product when you had access to all of the manufacturers with 30 years in this business? I think that's an important piece, because even people that can't necessarily do business with us, if they're picking a great window, I would love to plug Stage, because it's a big part of the reason for our success as we've been moving forward here.
Yeah, I mean, for us, that window has fantastic ratings. First and foremost, that's certainly what we were looking at, right? How does the window rate? And then, they've got some really incredible options that obviously add to those performance ratings that come standard with our window, right? So the Prima Plus window that we sell from Stage comes standard basically with all the bells and whistles.
Right.
And so, these help the window seal better with extra locking units. The hot melt that seals the argon into the actual sealed units so that it lasts longer, giving you that energy performance for the lifetime of the window. The hardware, I mean, I could go on, but as we dove deeper and deeper into that product offering, it became very clear to us why they were, head and shoulders above everything else that's on the market today.
That's awesome. And you've got a slightly better warranty than most in the business as well. You want to let people know what that warranty is?
Yeah, the stage window comes with a lifetime warranty, so full 25 years on the sealed unit, on the hardware, on the vinyl. All the pieces that matter are covered for 25 years, and the paint is even covered for up to 20 years. So,
and that's exclusive to Consumer Direct Windows for those that don't know. So you're not the only ones that sell the Stage brand. Full disclosure, you can get it other places, but it's the only place that you get the Prima Plus line and the Prima Plus warranty with that product, which is a big benefit, especially long term. Like at the end of this thing, I always ask people. So a lot of times, people, when they're looking to sell their house, want the most money out of their house when they're selling it. That's most of the time why people are changing their windows. So when people are selling their house, I always recommend that they use the program to buy it so that it doesn't cost them anything to make those improvements to get the cash out. And if it doesn't sell quickly, then it doesn't really cost you anything out of pocket to do that, and it increases the value of your house. But life has a funny way of giving you what you give it. And if you're the type of person that will put garbage into a house to sell it in order to sell it with new windows, there's a good chance you're going to find garbage at your next house. So I always ask people, if you were the person buying this place, would you want to buy a house that has better windows or something that you have to replace again in 5 years because it was new, but they bought crap? Right? So I'm always trying to put into perspective with people using the stories and the experiences and the things that we run into, because we are in places less than 5 years all the time replacing brand new windows that were most efficient when people bought them. So big barriers in between, what's the word I'm looking for? Ethical companies and non-ethical. But again, a lot of, even selling windows 5 years now, I learned more in the last 3 years about the ratings and the windows and the industry itself than I did in the first 5 years, because most companies are only training just enough to sell you the product. They're not training their guys to actually help you buy what's going to leave you better, right? So a little bit of a long way of just trying to walk people into, like, if you're going to embark on this thing, it's going to be more money than you want to spend to begin with. So why not do it in a way where you don't have to spend anything, get those free windows that we were talking about earlier, but also buy it from a company that wants to make sure you get the best product installed at your house, done by the best people possible in the industry, backed by a warranty longer than anybody's, to make sure that if there is any issues, not only are you protected, but the person who buys the house after you gets the benefits of the things that you chose, and you get those benefits while you live there. Is that a fair way of kind of walking people through what to look for when buying?
And our whole company, again, it was built around that education piece, right? Mm-hmm. So every and I hate to call them sales rep, but every sales rep, you call them whatever you want, window expert, consultant, whatever you want to call them, every guy that goes out to a house has been trained on the windows, on the programs, and has the ability to educate the consumer to make a solid decision. And I think, again, that's one of our big differentiating points out there today is, I'd rather educate you first and help you make the best decision. Hopefully that's us, but if it's not, it's not. But, we know that we educated you first, and then, helping you get the proper product, not just a product or any product.
One final question for you. Any advice to the young entrepreneur that maybe doesn't have the same sort of chops. We're trying to get into this industry. What is the biggest piece of advice that you've picked up along the way that you would give out to a young entrepreneur that's looking to cut their teeth in an industry like yours?
So I think the biggest piece of advice, because I think a lot of people struggle with this, I know I did, is that you don't have to do it all on your own.
Right.
Right. So find that group, whether it's a business coach, a mentor, maybe there's a partner that you trust to bring on board. But yeah, a mastermind group as well, right? So all of those things I think are great outlets, someplace where you can bounce ideas. You can learn from somebody that's maybe already done it before, to help you avoid some of the pitfalls, some of the mistakes, and help you scale faster. So I think for me that, was certainly my biggest learning piece, is that, if I had figured it out sooner, I probably could have been farther down the path. You don't have to do it on your own. You don't have to do it all yourself.
Well, it's interesting that you put that spin on that phrase, because I've heard that phrase a lot, and I always take that as, you hire more people, you build the team, like you can't do it past a certain level on your own, but not so much on the training and the support system side of things. So you would definitely recommend people continuing their education and advancements and things like networking groups and masterminds and that sort of stuff for people coming up, eh?
Absolutely. I think the best thing you can do is invest in yourself. And so taking advantage of all those things are only going to help you win quicker.
For sure. Okay, so again, thank you so much for coming in. I really do appreciate you taking the time to do this, and for you creating a company that's doing what you're doing. You're literally changing an industry, as every day that you continue to set the standard and maintain that standard, companies are being forced to change how they operate in order to compete. And I think it's important that people know your mission was never take all the business. It was never screw these people. It was something's broken, we can fix it. Let's set the standard and let the industry adapt. And I think that you've done an effective job of doing that over the last 5 years. And I wish you the best success, because I'm tied into it, of course. But ultimately, with my mission being leave everybody better than I found them, even when I'm in the house, I let people know, if I can't earn your business, I want to make sure you don't get screwed by not having the information. So thank you for setting that standard as the core focus of your business, because doing that is going to change the lives of all of the people that not only we've been able to help, but even the people that we haven't been able to help, in ensuring that they get that outcome. So again, thank you for that. If people want to follow you, it's Consumer Direct Windows on Instagram. Yep. I know the Facebook page is a little bit different, but the best way for you to get that free guide and that assessment, so you can figure out how much you would save, an estimated cost of the bill for doing the retrofits on your house, that is by following you at Consumer Direct Windows on Instagram. Direct message, Windows Mission or Mission Windows?
Windows Mission.
Windows Mission. Okay, so you heard it here, folks. This has been the Mission Better podcast, where our mission is leaving you better than I found you. Hopefully you've got some great information out of this. I know that this guy is a great entrepreneur, and he's, even though new to that particular space, doing an incredible job of showing that it's not only possible, but how to do it properly and not bite yourself in the tail by getting such a fast level of success so quickly, because that's equally as hard to navigate as growing a business to that size in the first place. So thank you for everything you're doing. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. And until next time, have yourselves a great day and try to leave somebody better than you found them today.